Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for February 16, 2022, the Remington Pays edition. We begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal as Sandy Hook families reach a $73 million settlement with the bankrupt gun maker Remington. It will pay families who lost loved ones at the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting in a landmark settlement that could open the door to more lawsuits seeking to hold gun companies liable for mass shootings. The settlement is the largest of its kind and the first since a federal law enacted in 2005 providing gun makers with broad protection from liability in their unlawful use. Gun makers had paid settlements in the past 17 years, but not to the victims of gun violence. So pretty big settlement in the gun maker arena. Next up, the paramour and partner of Jeffrey Zucker has been forced out at CNN. Ms. Allison Gollust, who was his romantic partner, was forced to resign, leaving the network. Allegations were made that she had violations of company policies, including CNN's news standards and practices. So we now have another continued fallout from the Jeff Zucker scandal at CNN. We've had Cuomo, but his brother has left CNN, and now Chris Cuomo, and now, of course, Jeff Zucker, and now Allison Gollust. Next up, we had another lawsuit settlement. As reported by the BBC, Prince Andrew has settled a U.S. civil sexual assault case with Virginia Giuffre. And this is also pretty big news when you have someone in the British royal family settling suits alleging sexual assault. So more black eyes for Prince Andrew. I'm not sure I can put this on the royal family. Nevertheless, he had fought this tooth and nail, and it was clear it was going to trial, and I guess it was clear to him he was going to lose. And finally, the jury came back in the Sarah Palin libel case against the New York Times and found that she did not meet the standard under Times versus Sullivan and tossed her, or rather did not find in her favor. The judge in the case, Judge Rakoff, had previously announced that he was going to toss the verdict if the jury came back in her favor, but the jury didn't. So clean sweep for the New York Times in the lawsuit by Sarah Palin. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.